This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight's Strep A death. A Nova Scotia family is grieving the loss of their 6-year-old boy.
Sour grapes. The Houston government puts a cork in a controversial wine program.
And illegal TV streaming. A Halifax man is ordered to pay millions to some of the world's most powerful entertainment companies.
A quiet start to spring on Wednesday. We will see increasing clouds and some unsettled weather rolling in for Wednesday night and through Thursday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. A Nova Scotia family is grieving after a young boy passed away after contracting an aggressive form of strep.
6-year-old Jaden Davis contracted invasive Group A strep after coming down with a fever earlier this month.
The CBC's Brett Ruskin has the details surrounding his death and what you need to know about the disease.
Jaden Davis was 6 years old. Now, his family says earlier this month, it was a Sunday, when he began to develop a mild fever. Now, he was still running around that day, was healthy enough to join the family for dinner that Sunday night. Monday was still feeling okay with that mild fever, went to school, came back home. In the evening, that fever had gotten a little bit worse. By Tuesday, the symptoms had escalated significantly. So there was fever, there were chills, there were sweats, there was some aching as well. The family, who doesn't have a family doctor like so many families here in Nova Scotia, got a virtual appointment with a physician who prescribed medication via an inhaler. The family didn't go to the emergency room for fear that it would just mean an hours-long wait to get children's Advil. And so then Tuesday night, Jaden Davis went to bed and died overnight. This is just the latest case of a child dying from Strep A in Canada after a recent surge of cases we've been seeing over the last 10 months or so in many different provinces. Health Canada is reminding families of the symptoms of Strep A, which include kind of the mild symptoms of a fever as it begins, and then they can increase in severity to muscle aches, severe pain, chills, sweats, and in some cases it can be fatal. Again, this is the latest case here, and that this case in particular, the families were notified who were close contacts of Jaden Davis. The school was notified as well, but it wasn't considered an outbreak because had there been no resulting related cases of Strep A as a result of this case. Health officials advising people to try to prevent the spread of this illness in the typical ways that you do prevent bacterial spread. For example, proper hand washing techniques, coughing and sneezing into your arm or your elbow as opposed to your hand, again, to prevent illnesses like this. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
Premier Tim Houston's government is hitting the brakes on a controversial program it launched just weeks ago to help wine bottlers. Homegrown wineries have been pressing the government ever since to reverse course because they felt the subsidy to those industry players could be, quote, catastrophic to their businesses. Today, Houston met with a large group of winemakers who came to Province House to continue their campaign and had this message for them.
We have agreed to collectively put a group together and just have a frank discussion about what would make sense for in terms of overall economic development for the province, but in terms of supporting and respecting the various components. So the commercial wine program, as has been announced, will be paused.
Houston says he thinks it will take a month to redesign the program so that one part of the industry is not put at a disadvantage because of it.
Carl Catino, of the chair of the Board of Wine Growers of Nova Scotia, says the Premier and his team got the group's message that they want to be at the table to discuss any future changes to their industry.
To actually have a chance to sit down and mention, what the impact is, and I think the Premier realized just from the past couple of weeks what maybe wasn't his intention or the government's intention that could harm our winery industry, the farms, the growers around the province, putting the jobs at risk and the future of the industry at risk. I think just those pieces made him realize, okay, this is a bit more than what they were hoping for.
I'll talk to Carl Catino about his group's concerns around the future of the grape growing and the wineries in this province. That's our Newsmaker interview just after 6:30.
The president of the Nova Scotia Nurses Union says unsustainable pressure is pushing people out of the profession and giving others second thoughts about joining in the first place. Janet Hazelton told MLAs at the legislature's health committee that concerns about violence in the workplace, not enough staff support, and the inability to get time off are all factors causing some people to leave the job.
You need time off. You need to be with your families and your loved ones. And many, many are not getting that. A lot of our younger nurses don't get vacation. They just don't. And they can't. There's no ability to replace them. That's not sustainable.
Hazelton acknowledged recruitment efforts by the province, but says more work is required to improve working conditions.
Nova Scotia Health says there is reduced capacity for inpatient addictions and mental health treatment after a flood at the Abbey J. Lane building in Halifax. The health authority says the flood on Friday has resulted in the loss of 20 of the 48 inpatient beds at the site. At least 3 floors are affected. It's not clear how long it will take to repair the damage that's still being assessed. Some patients have already been relocated, and the government says it is focusing on coming up with temporary solutions.
Border agents at the Port of Halifax seized more than 1.5 tons of suspected cocaine earlier this month. The seizure has an estimated value of $194 million. CBSA said on March 4th, security investigators flagged a marine shipping container from California destined for Europe. Investigators continue to track the container as it made its way to Canada. On March 6th, the shipping container was examined in Halifax and found to contain a massive amount of cocaine. Our CMP are investigating. There's some confusion tonight around the location of the pallet shelter village in Whitney Pier. The province says it's looking at other locations, but one of the local groups behind the project says the delay is only hurting those in need of housing. Here is the CBC's Kyle Moore.
All was quiet today on this vacant lot in Whitney Pier, but the provincially owned land overlooking the former Sydney steel plant has been the site of protest and controversy for more than 2 months now, since the province announced a planned shelter village in the community.
That's where we got off on the wrong foot. We were not notified by anybody about anything about this issue, and that's what really ticked off the people of Whitney Pier. They were just going to come in here and put these little pallet homes in this here community without telling anybody about it.
The province said today they are looking at other locations to place the 30 shelters, but are not ruling out the Whitney Pier site. That's despite local CBRM councillor Lorne Green telling some residents the location is no longer being considered.
I can assure the residents of Whitney Pier it will not be located on this particular site.
We're looking at several different spots, and we're looking at, and I just don't want to get into really the details of that because at some point we may have to negotiate. But what I will say to the people of Whitney Pier is that we heard you loud and clear.
All of this confusing and frustrating for one of the local groups backing the project.
That site met all of the conditions and criteria for a highly successful pallet village. It was a site that was supported by both community partners.
Erica Shea says New Dawn has offered up all of their properties as alternative sites if the province is looking. But she says the delay is hurting the more than 20 people that have been selected so far to live in the shelters.
So now we're looking at somewhere between 4 to 6 months because there is site prep that has to be done, services that have to be connected.
The minister couldn't say when a final site will be chosen, only that he hopes it will be sooner rather than later. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Coastal property owners and researchers are expressing frustration with the provincial government's approach to safeguarding the coast. The government announced last month that it would not make the Coastal Protection Act law. Some property owners say there needs to be more leadership from the province. Michael Gorman reports.
There was a time when Jeff Kidlark could walk this shoreline to a nearby park, but the footing has changed.
There's armor rock in place, and I can no longer walk along the waterfront. I have to either trespass over people's property to get to the beach.
Kidlark has watched how erosion has chipped away at the end of his Brayshore property. So far, he's not developed the land. The Coastal Protection Act was supposed to outline how property owners such as Kidlark could develop their land in a way that would help keep them safe from the threat of climate change, sea level rise, and coastal flooding and erosion. The legislation was passed in 2019 with all party support. But last month, Environment Minister Tim Hallman announced his government would not make the legislation law. Instead, the government released a 15-point plan that includes guidance for the public to help them make informed development decisions and leaving it to municipalities to set bylaws for coastal development. The province continues to work on floodline mapping, and it released an online tool that projects how high the water will rise by the year 2100. But this professor in Dalhousie University's School for Resource and Environmental Studies says the government's approach amounts to a massive step backwards. Along with research showing that when people's property values are at risk, they might not be receptive to information that could curtail development, she says the existing information released by the government so far is not thorough enough and risks giving people a false sense of security.
Philosophically, we've gone from an idea of collectively protecting the coast and people who live there to protecting people who are coastal property owners above all and leaving the public good and the kind of environmental good entirely aside.
Hallman has said the government's decision was informed by a survey of 40,000 coastal property owners last fall. Only about 1,000 people responded, and most supported making the Coastal Protection Act law. But Hallman has said he interprets the non-responses as collective opposition to the act, and he wants to honor that. Sharon says that's not how non-responses to a survey should be interpreted, and the minister's explanation amounts to spin.
So the idea that then you would actually discard what is pretty good data for the benefit of those who didn't answer the survey is just simply not best practice.
Jeff Kidlark's property could not be more coastal, and yet he did not receive information about the survey. He says 10 out of 12 neighbors he checked with did not either. There are things about the proposed regulations for the act that Kidlark did not like. If protecting the coast is good for everyone, he thinks property owners should be compensated for land they would not be able to develop if the act were in place. Still, he thinks an imperfect law is better than no law.
I wouldn't have liked it, but I could have lived with it.
The province's work on floodline mapping is expected to be complete in 2027. Michael Gorman, CBC News, Brayshaw.
And Ryan Snoddon with us now for our first quick look at the weather forecast.
And the last gasp of winter, right?
That's right. We're counting down the minutes. And yes, spring arrives just after midnight tonight. And we are looking at pretty spring-like day really across most of the province, though the Northeast had a little bit of a wintry mix today with some flurries and, yes, some of those snow pellets, that grapple mixing in along the Colchester-Cumberland area, edging into Cobequid Bay across Cape Breton and the eastern shore as well. That edging into the Halifax area, Lunenburg as well. But for the most part, it's been dry in through the south and west. That will change tomorrow as we see things quiet tonight. Wednesday morning, we'll see some sunshine, then building cloud cover as we work our way into the afternoon, but overall still dry. Then late afternoon watching, yes, this next round of what will initially be showers for late Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. Couple of flakes possibly mixing in here as well for Wednesday late afternoon into the evening over higher terrain areas of the south and west. Note temperatures tomorrow ranging between 5 and 7 degrees. Those southerly winds near 20. Overall, pretty nice first day of spring. And then again, spring's all about a couple steps forward, one step back. And yeah, you can see for Wednesday night and through Thursday, we'll see a few more flakes mixing in. If you're traveling to New Brunswick, that is going to be definitely where we're looking at some snow mixing in. For Nova Scotia, it's going to be rain, and then we'll taper to showers, and then those showers will mix back to flurries, and those flurries will likely be pretty widespread for Thursday evening and into the overnight as some breezy winds, gusty winds usher in some cooler air. Friday looking pretty chilly and pretty breezy as well. And then that system will depart. We'll have a kind of a quieter Friday night, Saturday, and then another system to follow up. So there's lots to talk about with that 7-day forecast, and we'll break it down in detail coming up in a few minutes.
We will check in a little later. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, a small group of students held a protest at Cape Breton University today to complain about one of their courses. They say the course is resulting in too many failing grades. Aaron Potty reports.
About 30 people gathered along a sidewalk outside CBU. They were there to protest the marks handed out to students studying occupational health and safety management. Several of the students say they're frustrated by one particular class and a lack of support from the professor. Among them is pharmacy student Rajet Verma. Verma failed the course once, so he's taking it again. He says questions on the exam were not part of their study material.
We don't know how we know if she don't tell us. And moreover, if she teach us in class 1 + 1, she later do an exam 1 multiply 2 multiply 3 multiply 5, these things.
Ajish Negi organized the protest after hearing complaints from the student community. He says his own wife failed the course 4 times and is now struggling with depression.
Students are getting higher grades on other subjects, but on this only single subject, their teachers are failing them again 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, and after 3 time, college administration, they are saying that change the whole program, do the study again.
CBU says they're aware of the frustration coming from students.
Disappointment with a grade is not grounds for appeal. You have to sort of illustrate that it's the result of maybe carelessness on behalf of the faculty member, maybe some discrimination on the basis of some kind of enumerated ground, or maybe violation of another university policy. So there's a threshold there, right? It can't just be disappointment.
The university says it has formal procedures for students wanting to appeal their grades, but so far that process has not begun. Erin Potty, CBC News, Sydney.
Residents living near a proposed long-term care development in Cole Harbour expressed their concerns at a public meeting last night. More than 100 people showed up to weigh in on the new 144-bed facility that is planned for the corner of Cole Harbour and Bissett Roads. 4 apartment buildings of 11 to 12 stories would also be built alongside the facility. Many say they worry about local flooding, including Claire Mafrank. Her basement flooded last year, and she just bought a new house beside the proposed development.
It cost me $50,000. Halifax Water, and they told me, why did you buy a house on marshland? So I'm just worried that the same thing is going to happen again where I'm going to be living.
Municipal staff will make a recommendation to the local community council about the development. Then there will be a full public hearing before a final decision.
The Atlantic Police Academy is expanding because of increased demand for officers. The school in Slemon Park, PEI, is currently full.
It's pretty much every agency across Atlantic Canada right now. For the first time, the class we have in class right now of 48 cadets, 40 of those cadets are already sponsored by an agency in Atlantic Canada.
Minton says the need for officers across the region is due to a number of things, including officers retiring and police forces changing how they operate. This fall, the Academy will offer a second program, which will increase the number of graduates to 72. A Halifax man has been ordered to pay millions of dollars to some of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world.
It's a case that offers a window into the battle against illegal TV streamers. The CBC's Richard Cuthbertson has that story.
How I make $1,000 a day or more. It's hard to think of another get-rich-quick line that's been more overused on internet forums. But every once in a while, there's a grain of truth. And sometimes, a ton of truth. This internet post from 2018 was written by a Halifax area man, and this was the beginning of his illegal streaming service. It got big, so big that when it all came crashing down, the fallout would cost him millions. The pitch for what's known as illegal IPTV, Internet Protocol Television, is pretty straightforward. $20, $30 a month, and you get thousands of channels, everything from NFL games to repeat episodes of the 80s hit sitcom Growing Pains. The icky part, all these movies, TV shows, sports games have been ripped from legitimate broadcasters. And that makes the likes of Disney, Netflix, and other entertainment giants very unhappy.
We view it as a critical threat to not just our platforms, but to the creative sector as a whole. It impacts us as right holders. It impacts creators across the industry. It causes hundreds of millions of dollars in damages and thousands of lost jobs.
This is Old Sambor Road, connecting the outskirts of urban Halifax to the coast. And this is where Tyler White, the man behind that 2018 internet post, lives. He was the founder of Beast TV. It was a big success. That is until lawyers from the entertainment industry came knocking in November 2020. They had with them a very powerful judge's order. Tyler White was told to turn over passwords, domain registrars, financial information, and he was forbidden from breathing a word to anyone for 48 hours. Sound extreme? Well, Canada has for years been criticized for failing to crack down on sites like Beast TV. And it's not just the American TV and movie behemoths who are complaining.
I'm the president and CEO of ATN, Asian Television Network, a modest, small company, but a fairly important company in the South Asian community in the Canadian context.
ATN broadcasts more than 50 channels, everything from Bollywood movies to cricket matches, paying license fees and royalties for that content. But the company says that piracy became rampant from the year 2012 onwards, and in 2017, it spread like wildfire. A company that made a record $26 million in 2011 is today far from that.
It may not sound big when it compared to CBC or CTV in this country, but for a small multicultural channel, there was a pretty decent revenue that we had. And that same thing is now dropped to approximately a little under $9 million.
So, naturally, ATN is rooting for the deep-pocketed companies going after services like Beast TV. These companies are convincing judges to issue extraordinary legal orders that amount to, in some cases, civil search warrants. A legal order that Tyler White did not cooperate with, nor did his business partner Colin Wright of Brampton, Ontario, who was served with the same papers. Tyler White was so defiant, he was eventually handed 60 days in jail, a sentence he's appealed. He would not agree to an interview. That 2018 thread, full of swagger, turned out to be partly right. Tyler White did end up making a ton of money. When Beast IPTV met its end, he had $744,000 in bank accounts, had bought 2 rental properties with his profits, and had stashes of cryptocurrency and investments. This fall, he was ordered to pay a whopping $7.1 million in penalties. But 2018 Tyler White was wrong in one crucial aspect. He wasn't careful enough. Richard Cuthbertson, CBC News, Halifax.
Thanks, Richard. Our first quick break is on the way. Stay with us.
Yes, we have a lot more to come on CBC Nova Scotia News. Israel continues to strike the southern city of Rafah as aid agencies call for more humanitarian assistance to Gaza.
Public visitations for former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney's lying in state are underway in Ottawa.
There's a peek at the LaHave River. Ryan is back next with his full weather forecast. We'll see you after the break.
All right, major milestone as we flip over to spring.
But if you're going to miss winter, the flurries are still going to be here for spring, right? So it's not exactly a firm cutoff.
That's true. Again, it's all, it's transition season for a reason, right? And yes, meteorological spring, of course, began at the beginning of the month, but astronomical spring is on the doorstep, just minutes away. And let's have a look at this nice graphic that you can see here. And of course, a reminder that what is the equinox? Well, that is when the sun's rays are directly over the equator and are now going to start moving north of the equator. And yes, 12:06 a.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. And kids, you don't need to stay up for it. You're not going to miss much at that exact moment, but that is indeed when the equinox is going to be occurring. And yes, we're into spring. And, it has, as we've been saying over the last couple of weeks, been feeling more like spring, no doubt about that. But there's a few little glimpses of old man winter in the mix even today, and certainly in the forecast as well. Note temperatures right now, coolest in here through the north and east. Port Hawkesbury, Cheticamp, Truro just at 1. We're into the 5-6 degree range across the south and west. Note the winds have been generally in from the west to southwest today, and we are looking at those gusts right now in and around the 30 to 40 kilometer per hour range. What we're looking at right now is, again, you can see with the radar indicating these showers that are coming down, and in those showers we're seeing some heavier pockets that's pulling down that cooler air. That's where we're seeing those snow pellets, and yes, even some flurries mixing in, especially over higher terrain areas. Now backing things out, and this is where we're looking at the low, which is moving out. Secondary low south of Newfoundland, that is not going to be impacting us. We are watching this system, which is moving through the Great Lakes right now, bringing some accumulating snow to southern Ontario. Yes, I guess, everything evens out, right? Just like a week ago, it was 19 degrees in Toronto. Now it's snowing there at 0. So just a reminder that, again, it is a transition season. 5 in Calgary, -3 in Edmonton, -3 in Regina, and that cold air starting to work its way back a little bit further southward. And what we're going to be looking at for us for tonight is another frosty windshield type night, no question. Be ready with that scraper tomorrow morning. Temperatures ranging between -2 and -3. Any of this precipitation is going to come to an end, as we will see the winds becoming light tonight. And note that all of that activity in the north and east will all be done by the time we get to Wednesday morning. Pretty bright start to the day tomorrow, and then that cloud cover will kind of build in a solid mix of sun and cloud throughout the day. And what we're going to be looking at into the later parts of the afternoon is indeed those showers moving in. Tri-County area is the best chance, edging up towards Liverpool as well as Kedgie, and edging into the Middleton region, including Greenwood and Berwick. And then as we move into the supper hour, that starts to edge up closer to Kentville and Lunenburg and the Halifax metro area. And now for Cape Breton tomorrow, again, no precip at all. Nice day, 3, 4, 5 degrees. We are going to be looking at that southerly wind tomorrow, 20, gusting upwards of 30 to 40. 5, 6, and 7 degrees through the Northumberland and Eastern Shore region for tomorrow, with again those southerly winds near 20. And a similar story temperature-wise for the Fundy and Valley region. Now for the South Shore region, again, I put the precip on with the Tri-County area, but can't be ruled out Kedgie into Liverpool before supper time tomorrow. But this is going to be our greatest risk, and then we are looking at the Halifax area, 5, 6 degrees with those winds in from the south, 20 gusting to 30 or 40. Now for Thursday, there's the clouds, which are certainly going to be dominant on Thursday. We're going to be starting with rain. We're going to then transition over to showers, as you can see here. So we got this first line comes through Thursday morning, some steadier periods of rain in here, and then that will transition, kick out. We'll see a transition, I think, to just a few showers, but pretty quickly here, as this model is indicating, it'll start to mix with flurries because those temperatures will drop in this cooler air wrapping in on the backside of the system. Note these arrows here showing some pretty gusty winds coming in, especially through the southwest of the province. So it is going to be a pretty gusty Thursday afternoon and pretty breezy on Friday as well, but that breezy flow will help to kick things out, and so we are going to be looking at clearing skies after an early flurry chance on Friday. Note Friday is going to be much cooler, and then we're looking at Saturday, increasing clouds, a late day mix. That system Saturday night into Sunday also looks like it's going to have some wintry mix, despite the fact that it's spring.
Just a little reminder.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Up next, I'll talk with Carl Catino of the Wine Growers of Nova Scotia about the Houston government pausing a controversial support program for the industry. He's our newsmaker.
Please stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News.
Premier Houston is pausing the commercial wine support program. It would have subsidized commercial bottlers to buy grape juice out of province and still compete against more than 100 local growers. Many in the industry say that would have undermined both local grape growers and wineries. Carl Catino is chair of the board of Wine Growers of Nova Scotia. Sir, the government agrees to put the program on pause. I know you're pleased about this. Why are you so happy about that?
Well, honestly, Tom, when we first heard about this program on January 5th for implementation on January the 8th, all we've been trying to do is stop the program, pause the program, halt the program, whichever way you say it, so we could have some proper consultation with the Premier and the government on the risks that are really at stake to Nova Scotians, but certainly to our industry and tourism and hospitality in rural Nova Scotia. So yeah, it's taken us a little while to get here, and the support of certainly the public has been immense in the past couple of weeks. But we were pleased to meet with the Premier yesterday and then again today, where it was confirmed that they will, for now, pause this program.
So what was hashed out in those meetings?
It's still very preliminary, but what was really brought to the table was the fact that the farm wineries had not really been at the table yet. So to actually have a chance to sit down and mention, what the impact is, and I think the Premier realized just from the past couple of weeks what maybe wasn't his intention or the government's intention that could harm our winery industry, the farms, the growers around the province, putting the jobs at risk and the future of the industry at risk. I think just those pieces made him realize, okay, this is a bit more than what they were hoping for.
Yeah. So can you help people understand why the commercial wine support program, as it was proposed, is such a lightning rod for local growers and wineries?
Well, the biggest thing is that, as you've probably heard, and some maybe haven't, it's subsidizing the importation of foreign wine to be bottled here in Nova Scotia. And that goes against everything that we do as farmers. We're trying to plant it, grow it, employ people in rural Nova Scotia. And that is really what's put Nova Scotia wine as a region on the world map. It's, that's what's winning award-winning wines. That's what the Premier is taking with him when he goes on trade missions overseas. He's not showing up in Europe with a bottle of, German wine that's bottled in Nova Scotia. He's showing up with something that's been grown in the Avon Valley or Annapolis Valley or Cape Breton or what have you right here in Nova Scotia. So the biggest issue was that the taxpayers' dollars were going to subsidize commercial bottling and bringing in wine from outside of this province when we're doing a fine job, a fantastic job, award-winning job, doing it ourselves right here.
The province has said there needs to be changes. Is there a middle ground to be had there, do you think?
I think that, listen, we're not trying to sink commercial bottlers by any means. They have a business model, and our business models have coexisted for years. And so I do think there's probably a middle ground that can be reached. What was proposed in January and that has been paused officially today is, that could have been catastrophic for us, absolutely. But that was too far to the other side. And I think the Premier sees that and understands now a bit better what we had before. And that's through the Emerging Wine Region policy. And that is really what the trade issue is with Australia. And that's some of those layers that we've just had to peel back. And again, with further consultation with our industry and a chance to sit down around the table, as some of our members did again today with the Minister of Finance and Minister of Agriculture, we'll just keep the conversations going. And that bodes well for our industry and for Nova Scotia.
Yeah, you alluded to it there. I mean, the province says the current system can't stay because it's not compliant with new trade laws. So how do you manage that kind of a situation?
Everything that we've heard to this point is that importing of foreign wine and bottling it in Nova Scotia has nothing to do with a trade complaint that was filed by Australia 4 years ago. So that's part of the information that we can now share with the Premier and his team to really show that this was a trade issue brought on the farm wine industry, which is where we are, and it was a fix to for the benefits that we were receiving as farmers who were growing it here, growing grapes here, obviously, and producing it into wine, and that's the trade issue that has to be solved. And we believe there are fixes that can happen in short order, but we need to present that to the Premier and obviously get his okay. But listen, if you ask me a month ago or even a week ago, compared to how we feel today, we're feeling much better because, obviously I think he's heard us loud and clear and he understands this needs to change.
And so what does happen now?
Well, like I said, there was another group of us today that had a chance to meet with the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Agriculture. We will be in short order having another meeting with the Premier's team, including the deputies, to kind of actually have some consultation around the table. I mean, last night there was 3 of us representing the farm wine industry there at that meeting. There's a lot more voices, a lot more brains, and we all deserve to be around that table to share our thoughts and opinions and ways that this can work, because it's not an easy fix, but it's going to be a lot easier if you have a lot of smart minds on it.
We'll have to leave it there. Mr. Coutinho, good to talk to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for the time.
Coming up, a UK tabloid releases new footage of Princess Kate amid months of speculation over her whereabouts.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the military plans to push ahead with an incursion into Rafah. That's despite objections from key allies, including the U.S.
And Israel is facing fresh accusations today from the UN. It has suggested that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. Margaret Evans reports from Jerusalem.
Jabalia, northern Gaza. This is the face of famine hammering at the gate. There is no room for dignity here. We came to line up, but they threw us out, says Musab al-Masri. There's not enough for the camp. One plate of flour isn't enough. People are already dying of starvation in northern Gaza, according to a new report by the UN's top food insecurity watchdog. They say famine could be declared at any moment unless there's an urgent change of course.
The extent of Israel's continued restrictions on the entry of aid into Gaza, together with the manner in which it continues to conduct hostilities, may amount to the use of starvation as a method of war, which is a war crime.
Israel blames Hamas and aid agencies themselves, but there's little evidence of Israel's recent pledge to flood Gaza with aid. The U.S. Secretary of State is also sounding the alarm.
100% of the population in Gaza is at severe levels of acute food insecurity. That's the first time an entire population has been so classified.
In Rafah, further south, people are bracing themselves for a looming Israeli ground invasion. Concerns over the fate of more than 1 million people sheltering there prompted the U.S. President Joe Biden to summon an Israeli delegation to Washington to discuss alternatives. The Israeli Prime Minister agreed, but he's also told Israeli legislators he's determined to move ahead with Rafah. We have an argument with the Americans regarding the need to enter Rafah, he says, not regarding the need to eliminate Hamas. There is already grief strong enough to pierce hearts in Rafah, another family in mourning after an Israeli airstrike overnight. The U.S., Europe, and the whole world support Israel with weapons, says Ibrahim Jargoon, displaced from Gaza City. They mock us and send 4 or 5 airdrops just to save face. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Jerusalem.
The House of Commons passed an NDP motion related to the war in Gaza last night. The language of the motion was changed before voting took place, and the original wording called for Canada to officially recognize Palestinian statehood. The motion debated late into the evening, with the Liberals prevailing with this amendment.
By replacing paragraph I with the following, quote, work with international partners to actively pursue the goal of a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the Middle East, including towards the establishment of the State of Palestine as part of a negotiated two-state solution.
The amended motion is non-binding and reflects some of the current Liberal policy. For instance, it makes reference to Hamas as a terrorist organization. Still, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is praising the motion. He says it forced the Liberals to stop transferring arms to the Israeli government and place sanctions on extremist settlers in the West Bank.
Dignitaries are paying their respects to former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney's family. Mulroney's Progressive Conservatives governed the country for nearly a decade, from 1984 to 1993. Ashley Burke reports.
A family and a country saying goodbye. Former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney lying in state near Parliament Hill. His wife Mila, daughter Caroline, and 3 sons, Nicholas, Ben, and Mark, greeting Governors General present and past.
Somber, sad, but inspired by a man who has left such an example for all of us to follow.
Michaëlle Jean shared what she said in her final goodbye.
That my heart is with him, that I said to him that he meant a lot to me in difficult times, when he would take the time to call me.
Jean said she admired Mulroney's sense of conviction.
We were together also, at the funeral of Nelson Mandela, and And he told me the epic, fight it was, how he quarreled, with those who wouldn't do enough. He did with Margaret Thatcher, he did with Ronald Reagan, telling them that they had to do more because apartheid was a crime against humanity in South Africa.
Diplomats among those first to pay their respects and reflect on his legacy.
It's a great loss to both Canada and for us. Prime Minister played a historic role because he was the first leader in the Western world who recognized Ukraine's independence.
A steady stream of Canadians lined up too, some with personal connections.
When Mulroney was the Prime Minister, he came and met with our cabinet and met with our people. And he actually was, I think, the first Prime Minister to come out more boldly and recognize the Métis Nation. He used those exact words, the Métis Nation, and it touched every one of us.
Robin Averill showed the family a photo of one of his many performances singing for Mulroney.
Oh, he was great. He used to love to get up on stage with me and sing. And this, of course, you all know what his favorite song was When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. When Irish Eyes Are Smiling.
The public visitation in Ottawa continues until Wednesday afternoon. Mulroney will then lie in repose in Montreal before the state funeral. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canada's inflation rate defied expectations in February, dropping for a second month in a row. Annual inflation dipped to 2.8%, down from 2.9% in January. Economists had been forecasting a slight rise. Analysts say slowing price increases for groceries and cellular and internet services drove the decline. Rent and mortgage costs continue to apply upward pressure on inflation. Core inflation, which strips out volatile items like food and fuel, also came in below expectations. The news will likely increase pressure on the Bank of Canada to start cutting interest rates. It's widely expected that won't happen until June at the earliest.
The Princess of Wales is back on the front pages in Britain today. A tabloid posted a recent video of her on its website. It's apparently the first one of her since she underwent surgery for an unspecified condition 2 months ago. Anna Cunningham reports from London.
Well, this is a 13-second video. It was taken by a member of the public at a farm shop in Windsor, reportedly on Saturday, and it's close to where the royal couple live. Now, we can see Catherine, the Princess of Wales, walking with Prince William, looking happy and relaxed. And it is the first time, actually, that we've seen her out in public since Christmas Day and since, of course, Kensington Palace announced that she was having abdominal surgery in January and wouldn't be returning to public duties until after Easter. Now, today, Kensington Palace has said it won't comment on this video. The spotlight, as we know, was on Kate last week after those major news photo agencies pulled an image that the palace had released of her and her children, saying it had been manipulated. And today there are more concerns for the palace. Getty Images has now labelled an archive photo taken by Kate of the late Queen and her 10 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They've said that that was manipulated at source. Well, Prince William's been on royal duties today. He's been at a homeless project wanting to focus on his own work to end homelessness. But certainly the continued silence from the palace alongside these new images from the weekend has only gone to fuel the speculation and often wild theories on social media about the princess's health. Anna Cunningham for CBC News, London.
Canada's main stock index eked out a gain after today's new report on inflation, while U.S. markets rose ahead of Wednesday's interest rate announcement. Here's a look at the numbers. Yeah, we've had a taste of spring, that's for sure, these last few days.
Are you going to miss winter?
Not this winter. No, I won't miss this winter.
Yeah,
It's been
it was
busy.
trying at times, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
definitely. Listen, there was some epic snowstorms, right? So yeah, I won't be missing it. I'm sure some folks will, though, because first time in a long time we've had some decent skiing
Outdoor
in the
activities.
province. Yeah, it was great for the kids and outdoor enthusiasts for sure. But I'll tell you, there are signs of spring everywhere. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day. And we're going to zoom in on Porter's Lake. And a beautiful shot here, and
Robin comes out.
yeah,
That's a good sign.
it is a great sign. Janice Young, thank you so much for sharing this. From that to this.
Ooh.
This is the scene in Truro right now.
Oh, really?
Just
Wow.
moments ago from Chuck. So thanks to Chuck for confirming that, that radar showing that it is coming down as snow, and temperatures +1 there. So again, not accumulating on the roads, but certainly accumulating on the grass and looking very winter-like. So yeah, showers, flurries, some of that grapple mixing in, and yes, some light accumulation, certainly not out of the question, as you can see there in the Truro region. Now that all wraps up this evening. It's a quiet start to Wednesday, and as we work our way throughout the day, temperatures rising and 5 degrees in Truro. So Chuck, don't worry, that snow will be long gone. But then that next system starting to edge its way in. 5, 6, 7 degrees with the winds in from the south tomorrow, and then it is going to be that next system moving in on Thursday. As we look at the timeline of that, we are going to be watching it, for the most part, a rain event with, again, some higher terrain snow, but a change back to flurries for Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening.
All right, thanks for that, Ryan. Well, when you think of the Namibian desert, snowboarding is not the first thing that comes to mind, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's call this a distant cousin to the Canadian winter sport. Sandboarding is making a comeback in this desert town in West Namibia after a lull during the pandemic.
But the open desert and rolling dunes also attract other extreme sports like quad bike rides.
This seaside resort is seeing a boom in tourism in recent months. There's been a major increase in visitors as many ships go around the African continent to avoid the Red Sea.
And they're having a great time there.
Yeah.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.